What's up? I'm Joe Ravita from Empire Music, empiremusic.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and today is gonna be awesome. We are a Martin Custom Shop expert dealer, one of 20 in the world, and guitars like this are a big part of why we're a custom expert dealer, and one of the big perks of being a custom expert dealer, because we get to design amazing instruments. Check out our entire collection of Martin guitars right at empiremusic.com. You can chat with us through the site. Of course, give us a call. Give me a call personally, 412-915-7118. You can call or text me right there. That's my cell phone. We get a wood locker at the Martin Guitar Factory. And why does that matter, you might ask? Well, as being in a small group of dealers, we're always on the hunt for really cool, beautiful wood to either hit specific need we want to fill, or something that we've dreamed up and we will present to all of you. And this guitar is a perfect example of that. It is an all wild grain East Indian rosewood design Martin Custom Shop D-41. I was at the factory probably about 10 months ago and worked with Joe in their wood room, and we climbed through all the wood and had a really fun time kind of exploring all these awesome options. And I came away that day really excited because of a guitar like this. We had one all wild grain East Indian rosewood dreadnought top, back, and side guitar probably about 7-8 years ago, maybe something like that. And I loved it. We had it for like a day. It sold instantly. And I always kind of remembered that guitar and thought it'd be fun to recreate when the time was right. And this is a little bit different, but sonically and visually, it is similar. So we did a run of about, maybe 12 of these, I think. And you'll see exact photos on the site. So you'll never have to worry about getting a stock photo. And that's really important on a guitar like this. We don't use stock photos on Empire at all on our site, but or redundant photos. But here you get, it's really important to see the exact finish of the guitar and the individual piece of East Indian rosewood for the top, back, and sides. Absolutely stunning. Still has the case fuzz on there, which is some sort of like magnetic force that is difficult to reckon with. The 41 implications are the top binding, of course, the reduced 45 style hexagon inlays, my favorite headstock inlay. It's really cool. Vintage Grover tuners on here. Feel-wise, we did a modified low oval PA taper neck, which is the modern neck. Underneath the hood, 5/16 inch scalped bracing, forward shifted. And we're going to talk about what's important about that bracing here in a little bit. But the real story is the reality that most of us, I'd say almost all of us, do not have an all solid wood rosewood acoustic guitar. I know when you get a lot of import guitars, they have a lot of photo flame guitars that are laminated that look whatever. But in this instance, being all solid and from the custom shop, it's really interesting because rosewood as a back and side is how most of us know it, is expanded bass, right? A lot of extra bass, a lot of extra treble, and very reduced mids. But when you put it as a top, back, and sides, really what you're finding is the spruce really, if you use spruce on the top, it'll accentuate those highs and lows and really compress the mids, whereas here it kind of works a little bit more fuller together. This is a very, very fat sounding guitar, very full and very even. So I don't feel like you have as dramatic of a difference bass to treble with the mids compression as you do with the spruce top version. So the player that might enjoy this, in my eyes, is someone that likes a full sounding guitar and really wants what I think is a warm guitar. I think a lot of times people reach out and they think bassy is warm. To me, a warm guitar is the fullness and the fatness to the sound. That's this. It's not going to project as loud as a spruce top guitar. So if you're like an extremely heavy player and you really want the loudest instrument, I would go with the spruce top guitar. But for the 95% of us that don't play like that, you'll see this has plenty of top end output. What you really get in the benefit of this is just an overall roundness to the sound that is very, very full. I'd say the full is the word. It's like generic, but it's the only way you can describe the instrument. It's really surprising. And I kind of like alluded to the bracing. something that during the design process I wanted to make sure we eliminated any issues with is making sure that the mids are like this tubby mess or totally like just kind of blurs into the rest of the guitar. So we did 5/16 inch bracing, which, you know, really Martin standardly offers 1/4 inch bracing, which is a little bit thinner, and 5/16 inch, which is a little bit thicker. The 5/16 inch bracing gives you that stiffness on the top that keeps it articulate. So we still get all the evenness, we get the individuality of each string gets to present itself, which I think is extremely important. I'm really picky about when I'm selecting a guitar for myself. Those strings all have to hustle together, and you know, typically speaking, I think where we tend to hear the least mid output is on a spruce rosewood version, because we get all that bass and all that treble. And the reduced mids here, I think you're going to find that this guitar presents really nicely. So if you've watched the videos that I do 2 things consistently. We do total output, so we do a dynamic range, right? How light to heavy, how the guitar sounds. And then we do the mids of the guitar to kind of articulate whether the guitar is balanced and even through. What I want you to listen to on the dynamic range is kind of 2 things which kind of stood out to me. One is when you play lightly, how full the guitar sounds. It doesn't sound brittle. Sometimes with a rosewood guitar, especially a dreadnought, if you don't play heavy, it doesn't give you what you want. It kind of sounds a little brash. Here, it's much more mature sounding. And then as it opens up, I think you'd be surprised at the top end. And it's like output, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think it really gets plenty of juice for most of us. And then through the middle of the guitar, I think you'll hear what I think is the work of the bracing doing its job, keeping things really clean, and those notes really having an individual voice, which is, you know, what I was aiming for. So let's check it out and see what you think. So beautiful sounding instrument. One thing that struck me about it was as we strummed through the guitar, there's a natural compression, and I want to mention this kind of earlier with the rosewood top, that even when you're strumming and trying to strumming heavy, you really do get this individual note clarity out of each of the strings. Kind of has their own personality, which is really cool. And it also kind of reminded me that if you like the sound of a dreadnought, like you want a big sounding guitar in the sense of the fullness, and you like to play and sing, and you don't want to shout over a dreadnought, but you've always wished you could get the tone, and the character of a bigger guitar, but a little bit more controlled, this is definitely it. You know what I mean? This is really, really nice. If you ever think about like what they call songwriter guitars, always like little, like, you know, O or double O guitars, because obviously they're, our voice can compete with them or can work with them, whereas Dreadnought's a little bit harder. This is a very in control instrument, which I like a lot. Through the dynamic range, I think the top end output, if you're worried about that, like I said, the heavy bangers that need spruce, no, they're not interested in this. But for the rest of us, this is absolutely strong enough to play with other guitars. Then through the individual note picking, I think the guitar sounded amazing. I mean, just really, really fat. You know, with the spruce top, you would have probably a little bit more bite to those notes, whereas this is a little bit rounder. But to me, it just sounded very mature, very full, and would be a great complement to something that if you already have, or you've always wished that you could get that type of sound. This is it. It's the Empire Music exclusive Martin Custom Shop D-41 All East Indian Rosewood Wild Grain, which gives it this beautiful look. Based off of the D-41 base model, which means we have the reduced hexagon inlays, the Grover vintage tuners, the antique white binding, which is what we chose on this, 5/16 inch scallop bracing, forward shifted, ebony fingerboard and bridge, the beautiful top binding. Check out empiremusic.com to see everything in the Martin collection. You can see the specific ones we have of these guys here, and give us a shout. We'll hook you up. You know we do a full pro setup on everything we sell. We will dial it in and give you the best version of this guitar. I'm Joe from Empire Music with this really amazing Empire Music exclusive Martin Custom Shop D-41. Thanks for watching.